Paltrocast.
My first question is, does anyone get to call you Josh automatically, or do you have to work your way up from the Joshua to the Josh?
No, it doesn't matter to me as long as they call me, I guess.
Well, thank you for taking the time. Lots going on for you in that there's the EP, there's the 27 or so city tour, etc. But were things quiet about 9 months ago? When did you have your writer's block where you're finding your inspiration?
Hmm. I guess this whole last year I've just been traveling and recording it. Like I'd write a song and record it no matter where I was, So I wrote it and recorded it all over the world. It's kind of like a travel diary in a way. Um, so I don't know about the writer's block, but I would just sort of travel and go through some experiences and then write about it.
Got it. So when was that in terms of the timeline? Because you go from being, I'm on my own timeline here, to now you going, there's the EP, there's the interviews, there's the tour, etc.
Oh,
You go from kind of nothing to everything.
I guess it's always just been a scattering of them. Like, I wouldn't say it's been like nothing to boom. It's been more. Every now and again I do an interview, every now and again I write a song, every now and again I record a song, every now and again I go play a show. But now starting September 8th, I'm about to do a whole US tour. And so that's going to be, I haven't, my last tour was in like a European tour, like maybe in March and April. Mm-hmm. So it's been a minute. I kind of took the summer to sort of gather myself and sort of try to figure out where I want to go next, because I don't have a visa to live over here in Europe, so I'm done with my stay here. And after the U.S. tour, I'll probably want to try to chase the sun somewhere, but I haven't figured out where. I mean, I really love Mexico, and that's always inspiring.
So, in other words, you are a seeker. It's not just a game.
I'm a straight nomad. I'm like houseless, not homeless.
Houseless, not homeless. Has that been a lyric that's been written in anything yet, or that was just
no, I just thought of that.
Well, I was in the room, so I don't want to say I'm publishing. So
I don't want to say I'm homeless, because that makes it sound like I'm out on the street or something. I'm just sort of like Airbnb-ing around the world.
Got it. Well, hey, back to the positive stuff over here. It's great to see you're active as ever. As a recording artist, as a touring person, it's great to hear that you're still interesting on the EPs. In other words, a lot of artists, the EPs eventually sound like just an excuse to tour, but in your case, there's still these excellently produced recordings. And I say that because not only are the songs great, but I like what you do with the harmonies. I like what you do with the mic production. How much time goes into the sound and the pre-production of your recordings?
That's really nice of you to say, and I'm glad that comes through, because I guess I've never wanted to waste time in the studio, whereas I know some friends of mine go into the studio and they write while they're there. It's like they find it inspiring, and I always like to go in the studio and have everything planned out, and then you're just like, I do one or two takes, like I know what I'm going to do, whether it's rehearsal, whether it's talking it over with a producer, or I've already played the song on my guitar on the couch so many times that I know exactly how I want to sing it. So I would say we don't really take a lot of time in the studio. I don't have patience for it. I want to I guess because it's already thought out in my head before I go in.
Got it. Because some artists, as you're mentioning, they need help with the arrangements, or they're writing improv style. So it sounds like when you're going to make an album that you go to the producer, if there is a producer, hey, this is how it's going to be. And they're there to just do the last 10% in terms of the sonics.
In certain cases, yes. In certain cases, like I've worked with a few producers on this album, and like one of them was like that. One of them was like the opposite, where it was more like I'd go in and just play the song on the guitar and be like, okay, I wrote this song. And he would say, well, okay, I hear the drums coming in here, I hear the bass coming in here. And he happened to be a guy who could just play everything. And he was like, hey, all right, you know what? Let's make a scratch vocal and then I'll build a track, and then you come back and sing it for real. And by the time I came back, like the next day, he had built the entire track, all the instruments, and I was like, wow, okay, that's that's crazy. And then I just sang it like twice, and it was like, okay, there's the song. And it was I haven't really recorded like that before, but it was so cool.
Hmm. Interesting approach, because that sounds like the exact opposite of what you've been doing. So when you're writing an EP, is it every song that gets written and finished gets on there, or are you the kind of person that pares it down for
Yeah,
25 songs?
no, I'll write and write and write, and then generally like I'll start songs, and if I finish the song, then I know I love it and I want to record it. But a lot of times I'll get like a third of the way through a song and just kind of scrap it, or maybe I won't know how to finish it, and I'll maybe save it for another time. That's happened a couple times in my life um, where I just like I love the first verse or something, and I
Mhm.
love the bridge, but I was like, I don't really love this chorus, and then it just kind of sat on it and gave up on it, um, and then somehow, like a year later, I'd be like, oh yeah, you know what? I remember that verse, and then I have a chorus, and I'm like, I could kind of piece these together, and that kind of works sometimes, but that's kind of rare. Usually, I kind of sit down and be like, okay, here I'm writing this song, and it's about this, and but yeah, I don't really have like oh, this is the way I do it. It's sort of like there's a madness going on in my brain, and sort of like, does that work? Does that work? Or do I like this? If I want to sit down, if a friend comes over and I'm sitting on the couch with my guitar, and they're like, hey, have you written anything new? And I'm like, if I feel that I want to play this for a friend, then I know I want to put it on a record.
Hmm.
If I feel like I don't want to play it for someone live, just right there, then I know, why would I put it on an album? Because I'll probably never want to play it.
So it sounds like you're entirely free from the A&R process.
Yeah, I don't even know if I have an A&R person.
Well, I mean, you did the major label thing, you've done the major indie thing, sometimes you self-release, but in other words, it sounds like you go, here's the album, take it or leave it, as opposed to, do we hear a
Pretty
single?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've never been like this big radio guy, or and that's what people think about singles. Nowadays, it's like, you I don't even know what's happening nowadays in the music business. Sort of like, what it's just a free for all of like, I wrote this song, put it up on the internet. I don't know.
Well, to interrupt you right here, that means you're a cottage industry. You're in the Josh
Yeah,
Radin business, and you go, hey, I'm going to do an album, I'm going to do a tour, and no one makes the rules but you. So I think that's a very enviable position to be in. But are you ready for the next phase of the conversation?
sure.
Okay, you're from Shaker Heights. That is, to me, the Long Island of Ohio. I'm dialing in from Long Island, where all these famous people come from there, but they can't wait to
Really?
get out of it. Oh,
From
well,
from Shaker?
you, David
Okay.
Wayne, and Craig from Shudder to Think, I think, was from there.
Uh-huh.
Fred Willard, Molly Shannon
Fred,
is she
wait,
a Shaker Heights
that's
person?
true. Yeah, Molly Shannon. Wait, Fred Willard was from Shaker Heights?
If Wikipedia is lying to us, that's possible.
Really? Oh my God, I never knew that. I love Fred Willard. Well, R.I.P. Fred Willard. He was just one of the funniest people ever.
Totally. But I mean, people from all walks of life, it's like the Long Island thing where you find out everyone's from there and then they got out. Um, and then they go, that was a chapter of my life. When did you actually get out of Shaker?
When I was 18, right after high school, I was like, see ya.
And growing up, did you realize that people had made it coming out of there?
You know what? I never really wanted to be an entertainer growing up. I grew up wanting to be a painter. Um, and then I was like, I don't know. Um, Sorry, I got to pick up I'm getting a notification. Someone's delivering some at the door. So I'm going to talk to you while I'm walking. I
Nice.
guess I wanted to be a painter. I went to Northwestern for university, study painting and drawing. And then after that, after college, I decided I wanted to be a screenwriter. I wanted to do all these creative things, but I always wanted to be behind the scenes. I never had like this itch to perform or be on stage or, you know, make it, as you say. I always just wanted to be, someone creative, someone doing something artistic, but fame was the least of my concerns. So when I started writing songs, that was a really difficult thing to try to, you know, pose. Look how look how nice it is.
Definitely. Where is that?
This is in Stockholm.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, if the compliments can keep coming, I also admire how active you are as a philanthropist, how you're involved with the great causes, Little Kids Rock, North Shore Animal League, etc. What was the first charitable cause that you remember being asked to be part of?
Well, you know what? I don't know if I've ever been asked to be a part of one.
You just
Um,
went, this is what I want to do, and you
well, I
did
think,
it.
yeah, I think like the moment I started making some money, I asked my manager Debbie, like, okay, it's time to start giving back. Where should we start giving back? And we started going through all these ideas, and it was always interesting to me to work with kids, inner cities where art programs have been cut because there's no money for it. And that's always like, that inspires me and inspires them. Animals, like I love rescue animals and shelters. And I guess just kids and animals are always like have a place in my heart where it's like sort of beings that can't help themselves, where it's like, okay, they need someone, I feel like obviously there's people all over the world that need help.
Right.
But I guess I was always most drawn to kids and dogs and cats who have nothing but no way to help themselves. They need people. They really need people more than anyone.
Did your work with North Shore lead you to ever getting to meet Howard Stern?
Oh yeah, quite a few times. In fact, that's how I got involved in North Shore, because him and Beth became friends. And then she just asked one day if I would play their benefit in the Hamptons and at Stephen Talkhouse, which is a place that I love to play anyway. And it was just another one of those things where I was like, wow, okay, my sister in Cleveland is huge into animal rescue. Her and her husband, like, they have 2 rescue dogs. Actually, one just passed away, but they spend their weekends at the shelters, like playing with the other dogs. I mean, they're just so into. She got me more involved in it, and so yeah, I mean, Beth is like sort of this angel, like my sister is, just one of those people who's like, these are the people we need in the world, to sort of make sure that that when we're getting too lazy, they're like, hey, remember we have it so well, we got to give back. And I love that I have people like that in my life that are friends or family that never let me forget that how lucky I am, and that it's like what we get to do for a living is so unbelievable that so many people would die to do, that it's only cool if you spend most of your time realizing how lucky you are.
Before I ask my last question, then what I'm hearing you say makes it sound like you did not grow up saying Baba Booey.
No, I mean, I think I never listened to Howard on the radio. I was never a big radio guy. In fact, when I get into the car, my parents would drive me to school. It was just the oldies station. It was just all Motown, and that's what I grew up listening to. And yeah, but Howard is like, it's funny because when we became friends, I've got a couple best friends who are like obsessed with him, who listen every day, and they're like always asking me like, what's it like to do this with him? What's it? And I'm like, I don't know. To me, the first time I met him, I was at his house. A friend of mine was a friend of his and brought me over for dinner. And they were like, let me call Beth and see if it's okay if we bring you like a +1 to dinner. And I walk in the door and she gives me this big hug and she's like, we play your music in the house all the time on the coffee house, on Sirius, because they play Sirius all the time because of Howard in their house. But the coffee house is like, they have all these cats. There's cats everywhere. And they're like, all our cats love the coffee house. And we sit and listen to, you're on the radio in the house all the time. And Howard's like, oh, I know you. I mean, it's like, and we were just like fast friends. He's like the least intimidating person ever. And at dinner, he likes to interview you. It's like, there's not even a show. It's like, that's who he is. He's so curious about people. And I just remember after like 2 hours being like, I just told this guy my entire life story. And I wasn't trying to talk to him. It was more like, he just had, well, let me tell you, oh, wait, you got started in music late. And I mean, it's just, he's doing exactly what he should be doing. You know, that's why he's so good at it, because he really is so curious about people.
Awesome response there. And the last question before I let you go, and this sounds like a stupid one, but I'm genuinely curious because when I think of you, I think of kindness, I think of emotions.
Oh, thank you.
In a good way. But
Thank you so much.
Did you have a metal phase? Were you ever a metal person in your life?
No, never. I started at the Beatles and I finished at the Beatles.
So it was never Van Halen for you.
I mean, I guess I had that album Jump, or 1984.
Okay.
I think when it came out, you know what I mean? Like, and of course, you know, being a kid of the 80s, I was obsessed. I was like a third grader obsessed with Michael Jackson and learning how to moonwalk in the mirror in my bedroom. Not that that's metal by any means, but
I mean, Eddie Van Halen played on that. So
yeah, true. But I never had I never had a Metallica record. You know, I never had a AC/DC record, even though that's just rock and roll. I guess the closest to metal I ever got was the first real metal band was Zeppelin. And that was high school. I guess I listened to a bunch of Zeppelin like we all do. But no, I think my first albums I ever bought were Beatles albums. Like my first CDs were like with the Beatles and Sgt. Pepper, I think. And they're still my favorite band, you know.
I don't blame you there, but thank you for the many years of great art. Looking forward to the gig at the Bowery Ballroom in New York, and looking forward to whatever's coming next for me, Josh.
Are you going to be at the Bowery? Because Beth and Howard will be there.
Paltrocast.